Hi, this is The Greatest Story Ever Played. I'm Dan, and today I am going to be talking about Uncharted Lost Legacy. So, a quick description for this game is from award-winning developer Naughty Dog comes a brand new Uncharted game starring Chloe Frazer. In order to recover an ancient artifact and keep it out of the hands of a ruthless warmonger, Chloe must enlist the aid of renowned mercenary Nadine Ross and venture into India's western Ghats to locate the golden tusk of Ganesh. In Chloe's greatest journey yet, she must confront her past and decide what she's willing to sacrifice to forge her own legacy. A little background on this. This is developed by Naughty Dog, as it said, who we of course know and love on this podcast and all that from, The Last of Us, the Uncharted series, Crash Bandicoot. Naughty Dog's great. And also, this game actually initially began as a DLC for Uncharted 4. That's what it started off as, and then as the team at Naughty Dog was working on it, it actually got so big that they were like, yeah, this is actually a game. Let's just put it out that way. It's too big to be just a DLC, which is cool. And then also, it's set between 6 and 12 months after Uncharted 4, somewhere in that range. So, the events of A Thief's End are relatively recent when it comes to this. And as mentioned, lastly, I wanted to hit up our two main characters mentioned in the description. First of all, we've got Chloe Frazer. This is our playable character. She's a treasure hunter, and we know her from Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3. She showed up in both of those games as of one of Nate's friends to do treasure hunting stuff. And then Chloe teams up with Nadine Ross. She's a mercenary who shows up in Uncharted 4. And she's one of the adversaries of Nathan Drake in that. So kind of cool seeing two people who could be theoretically on opposite teams kind of put together to start the game. So I guess, with that, we'll jump into the recap. So first thing, we've got Chloe. The game begins with Chloe in a shop in India talking to a young girl. The girl tells her about conflict that's going on in India, that there's rebels that are taking over, that it's not safe, that sort of deal. And Chloe, after getting an assessment of the situation, she says that she needs to go where the rebels are, though. That's where she's got to go. So the little girl actually helped her out by distracting a soldier so that Chloe can sneak on a truck that's going across the river into this area. After this, we've got Chloe roaming the streets at night looking for a red door, which she's got a photo of, where she's meeting her informant, I guess. And it's a rebels-controlled area that she's going through, and it's not a good scene going on. You've got guards who are like pulling people out of houses, breaking down doors. There's certain areas that the guards are like, that are, I guess, more in control. Maybe they're like home base, so to speak. So there's dudes with guns like at fences, and you've got to like cross through like a line kind of thing to be able to get in. So we've got this going on. Chloe finds her contact, and her contact is Nadine. And from the start, we can see that there's tension here. That essentially they're together because they could get paid. And there's tension because Chloe's friends with Nate, and of course Nadine had a lot of conflict with them in A Thief's End, and so there's a little bit of rivalry. Like, I don't hate you specifically, but because you were with the other guys, I don't like you. Like, that's kind of the tense working relationship, where it's two people who are really good at what they do, so they'll work together even though they don't really like each other. That's kind of the vibe. So then from here, Chloe and Nadine break into Asav's office. Asav is this war leader who is looking for the Tusk of Ganesh. He's like the rebel war leader. And Nadine has been kind of working as a double agent with him. So she's been kind of Chloe's informant, working on the inside, getting his info while pretending to be Team Asav. And when they're inside Asav's office, they get caught by Asav and some of his soldiers. And when we're about to be killed, we jump out of the window, and we end up escaping to the river. You've got a cool chase scene essentially going on, where we're jumping roof to roof to make it to the river, and then the river kind of floats us down. That's how we kind of escape from Asav's guys, and it's pretty cool. Definitely a cool opening scene to set the stage for everything. And after this, it picks up maybe the next day, and they're on a boat together, and they've got some tension. But they do have the key that Asav had. It's an artifact that's supposed to help point you to where the Tusk of Ganesh is. And while they're sitting on the boat, Chloe ends up cracking the key. And this eases the tension a little bit, because they're like, well, if we get the treasure, whatever. Money over not liking each other is sort of the feel, if we could pull this off. Now, we head to where the key leads us. There's a building that's got a door that we end up pulling down, and this gets us into the Secret Cities area. But what it looks like at first is that there's just kind of a building in the forest, and if you didn't know to go there, you probably wouldn't think twice about it. From here, as we travel into the Secret Cities area, we climb this tower at the center, and from the tower we can see there's 4 ruins that we can visit. There's the Hoysala ruins, there's the Parasharma fortress, the Ganesh fortress, and the Shiva fortress. With each of these, we go to them, we fight our way through them, and we find out a little bit about more where to find the Tusk of Ganesh. And in fighting each of them, Asav's guys are there, so similar to really every other Uncharted game, there's like a unlimited number of henchmen in one sense, and they end up being in areas, and you kill 8 guys before you can do the next thing, or whatever. So, you've got that. Then you encounter the first major puzzle, I believe. There's a statue chamber puzzle that you reach, and I think in this one, it's where you are jumping on square tiles, and there's statues around you that like one has an axe, one has a sword, and the statues actually move each time you step, so you have to go in the right pattern, otherwise you get killed. From here, you reach an area called Halabadu, which is where the Tusk is supposed to be. And you can see that this is the area the Persians actually attacked when they tried to get the Tusk. You can see parts where trebuchets shot rocks into the walls and that kind of thing. Which is pretty cool. They mention it along the way of, everyone's been looking for the Tusk forever, including Persians or other wars that have happened. And so that was an interesting piece. You get inside and you end up getting captured by Asav. Asav takes the disc from you to be able to search it. But you end up, after this, you end up getting in a fight with Asav. But while you're fighting, you end up getting thrown through this wall that has a river right behind it, and you get sent down the river. So, kind of again, there's a potentially fatal fight with Asav, but then you end up getting knocked into water, and it takes you to safety. So, escape Asav, but now he's got the disc, he's got the head start, he's got men. Our job certainly got harder. So, after we make it down the river, too, we end up talking with Chloe, because when we got captured by Asav, we found out that Sam Drake is working for Asav, that he's Asav's guide. And Nadine is upset with us that Sam's her inside man there, and you didn't tell us about it. So there's this conflict going on for Chloe and Nadine, because Nadine feels betrayed because Sam, of course, was a part of Uncharted 4. Him and Nate killed a lot of the Shoreline, which is Nadine's old military group that she was a part of, and helped, or her dad led and she led after him. How could you team up with him? I don't like them, kind of feeling. But Chloe's like, no, having both of you working in your own angles is good for me, and will make us be able to get the Tusk. So they do have some tension. A little while later, they find an elephant that's trapped, and they help set her free, which is nice. And then they end up riding on the back of the elephant for a while, and they make it back to the elephant's family. And on the ride on the elephant, Chloe apologizes to Nadine about not telling her about Sam. So Chloe through this whole time, Chloe is kind of a dickhead, and she says here, "I'm sorry for being a dickhead," that kind of thing. And Nadine forgives her. They kind of reunite in this, and that they both kind of saw parts that they had done wrong, but and that their friendship is moving up. It's not as they're not just reluctant coworkers or something like that anymore. There's kind of some movement that, hey, we're kind of friends, or like we want to be friendly. We don't want to be just jerks to each other just cause. So after this, we find another puzzle, which is using these lights on the discs. So there's like statues that are essentially holding like a symbol, like a symbol like a drum, like the circle. And these discs, the light will be used to, or like giant mirrors or plates. And so they kind of hit that, and then the light goes somewhere else. And if the lights are in all the right place because of that, then it opens the door. So they do this puzzle. However, unfortunately, we are captured by Asav again, and he's gonna kill us and Nadine and Sam. And he makes us solve this final puzzle that will give him the Tusk of Ganesh. And for this puzzle, it's like a circle that of like a mural essentially, and you have to like spin there. It's got maybe like 4 pieces to it that are smaller circles, and you have to spin them around to make the image that it needs to. And so when you do that, the Tusk of Ganesh ends up rising up out of the ground and opens up. And the Tusk of Ganesh is super nice. It's this, it's obviously a tusk, but then it's got like blue jewels like all over it. It looks super nice. And after we do that, Chloe, Nadine, and Sam get handcuffed in that room, and it's going to get blown up so that water will come in. And so he kind of leaves us to die there. He's like, I won't shoot you. I'll just let you drown. And so Asav and company leaves. Water starts flowing in really fast. Underwater, Chloe picks her own lock, and then she picks Nadine's lock, and I think Nadine breaks Sam's lock. They all escape, though, and they all get out of there. And also, Chloe's, like one of her skills throughout the game is that she can pick locks. So you have her pick locks of the soldiers' like cases, and then you might pick up an extra grenade or some ammo, that kind of thing at those. But I think she also picks a door lock or two maybe as well. But she's able to pick the handcuffs lock here to get them out. So we escape from there, and we find out that Asav is going to sell the tusk in an arms deal. And so our crew says, fuck it, let's go after him. Let's get that tusk. And while they're heading there to the arms deal, they discover that the buyer is Shoreline. And Nadine is pissed, of course, that the Shoreline, I guess, didn't really operate in this way. It seems seemingly they had more of a code beforehand, and now they're just like, sure, you want to like cause chaos around the world? That's fine. We've got money, or we want money. We'll do whatever you want, or we'll give weapons to whomever. So Nadine is pissed after this, and so we head off to intercept this to stop the deal from the Tusk to happen, because Asav wants to buy a bomb and create civil war. Our group then heads to the train yard, and they fight some guys, some of Shoreline's people, I think, and they end up fighting a helicopter that's going around for a while. And this part's a cool fight. So there's a helicopter kind of overhead shooting at you, and sometimes there's guys who will run around too as this is going. And you have to shoot it a couple times with a rocket launcher to be able to bring it down. Ultimately, it does go down. Also, you climb up in it for a second and try to steal the tusk. Orca is one of Nadine's former lieutenants. He's taken over, and you have him. He has the tusk in his hand, and you're like, give us the tusk. And he ends up trying to shoot Nadine, but Sam tackles her out of the way. But Nadine still kills Orca, shoots him and kills him. We take the tusk, and we're like, okay, we did it. But Chloe says, we can't let Asav kill a bunch of innocent people. It doesn't matter that we got the treasure. We have to do the right thing here. Sam, especially, and a little bit Nadine, are kind of like, is this really our fight? Like, they're kind of unsure. And Chloe's like, well, I'm doing it. And then they're both like, okay, let's do it. Let's do the right thing. And so they chase down the train that has the bomb inside it. So as they're chasing it down, they're in the Jeep. And this is pretty reminiscent of, I believe it's Uncharted 2 that has this, where it's the runaway train, and then you're in the Jeep, and end up like jumping on the train and killing your way through the train a little bit, and then jumping back on the Jeep, and that kind of thing. It's cool. It's a very fun fight scene. And they fight through the train. Ultimately, they end up getting off of the train to be able to change the tracks that it's on. Chloe does that so that it doesn't just head towards the city, but instead heads somewhere else. So Chloe does that. It changes the tracks. However, Nadine is still fighting her way through the train, so Chloe goes after Nadine to help her. Chloe ends up meeting back up with Nadine by getting onto the train track. Sam has been in his Jeep through this time, playing kind of distraction / helping us as we need help. And so then Chloe and Nadine have another fight with Asav. And while they're fighting, Chloe notices that the bridge is blown in the distance, and that it's a river below, but it's a big fall, and sees it blown in the distance. So they're fighting, and after a while, as their fight goes, the bomb actually ends up falling on Asav's foot while they're fighting, and Chloe and Nadine jump off the train before it falls off the bridge, and so you get a cool running scene where you're like running on top of the train car as it's like moving down, and you end up jumping to safety before it falls off the bridge. Asav, the bomb, train, it all goes down and ends up with a minor explosion below. And so our group makes it. Sam, Nadine, and Chloe sit atop the bridge, enjoying the job well done. They did it. They got the treasure. They saved everyone. And Chloe and Nadine are talking. And Nadine says, "Are you looking for a partner? I think that I don't want to be in the mercenary game anymore, but I want to be in the treasure hunting game." And Chloe says, "Yeah, I'm a bit of a dickhead, but yes, I could definitely use one." And it's nice. You're like, okay, they've gone from reluctant treasure hunters together to potential partners moving forward. It's nice. It was a good feel, and seeing their friendship develop through the game is very, very good. That part might alone make the whole game worth it. It's worth it beyond that, but just the friendship development section, I thought was pretty good. I liked that a lot. Now, moving on to a couple general thoughts. Actually, real quick, before moving to general thoughts, so the game ends, and then Chloe, it ends with Chloe, Nadine, Sam, and the little girl from the beginning eating pizza together and kind of relishing in the job well done there. So it's nice. It's good. Now, okay, general thoughts for real. So first thing, I really like Chloe as the playable character. And I like that she's pretty different skills and personality and stuff from Nate. You kind of wondered if you would just, whoever you played as in an Uncharted game, if it wasn't Nate, if you just play them the same way. But it's different. So Chloe is a dickhead a little bit. Nathan Drake is too, but Nathan Drake's a little bit more kind of arrogant and would kind of go that angle. Whereas Chloe's a little more... Nathan Drake jokes too, but Chloe's kind of joking is a little bit different, which is cool. Like that they're that way. Also, Chloe is smaller than Nate, but it doesn't hinder that. Like sometimes you get wrapped up a little easier, it seemed like, but you could still break out, and you had other things you could do in that. Also, the lock picking, as mentioned, Nate didn't do that ever, as far as I remember. And so it felt different. She felt like a different enough character. It didn't feel like you just put a different character than Nate as that. I thought it really worked. Another thing is I think this really goes to show that you can do an Uncharted game without Nathan Drake. I was wondering that after 4 ended and I knew this one existed, is, can these games go without him? And I would say they definitely could. I feel like with that ending, you set it up where you could do a Lost Legacy 2. I would be totally interested in more adventures of Chloe and Nadine. I think that would be totally great. Also, of course, you could hit up a whole lot of other people who have come through the Uncharted worlds. That would be enjoyable. Doing stuff with Sam could be interesting. Doing stuff with Elena could be great. Doing stuff with their daughter, whose name's escaping me. There's a lot of options. I think Sully. There's a lot they could do, and I hope that this franchise isn't over after this. I hope that they don't just set it aside. I hope that there are more. Also, I think if down the line you wanted to do another Nathan Drake game, you certainly could. But good stuff. So I guess with that too, I guess I have my updated Uncharted rankings for me. So Uncharted 2 is still my favorite. I think that game's fantastic. Really bought in. I really liked a lot of the things in it. My next one would be Uncharted 4. I thought it was pretty great. Enjoyable quite a lot. And then just behind it would be Lost Legacy. I thought Lost Legacy was very good. It being third place makes it look lesser. It's not. I think Uncharted 2 and 4 are just really, really good, especially Uncharted 2. Lost Legacy is plenty good. Yeah, very, very good. Then I'd go Uncharted 1 and then Uncharted 3. And I guess if you're interested in more thoughts I have on Uncharted, I of course have episodes on Uncharted 1 through 4 on this podcast. Also, maybe, 4 months ago, something like that, I went on the podcast Lore Party, and we talked about Uncharted for an episode, which was a lot of fun. The episode is called Nathan Drake Grows Up or something like that. But you can look it up on their website, or it's on our website too. I posted a link, so if you go to our website, there's a blog post called Podcasts We've Been On, and one of them will have a direct link to this episode if you want to hear it. So what I really liked with talking on Lore Party was it really upped Uncharted 4 for me, which I thought was pretty cool. I liked Uncharted 4 before, and I thought it was good, but my enjoyment of it rose after talking on Lore Party about it and thinking about some different things in it. So that was cool. I guess also actually as another general thought that I like about Lost Legacy is kind of the return to form with kind of more magic-y type stuff and more and puzzles, that sort of stuff. Like it felt very much so like an Uncharted game, whereas Uncharted 4 did move a little bit away from some of those elements that the previous 3 Uncharteds kind of held. So that was kind of cool to get to see that and experience that and stuff like that. So those are my general thoughts on there. I've got a little bit of listener feedback about the game, so we'll go there. First up, we've got Chris on Twitter who said, an above average Uncharted game, same as Golden Abyss on the Vita. I haven't played Golden Abyss because I don't have a Vita, but I have seen that one kind of spread throughout as being above average. I've seen some people not like it as much, but Lost Legacy, very quality. I agree. Nikki on Twitter wrote in and said, I really enjoyed it. Chloe and Nadine are a great duo. Also, it shows Uncharted can continue without Nate. Sure, I'd miss him and definitely want more of his adventures, but it's also cool to see some new or old characters. Yeah, I totally agree. Great duo. I think, I guess Nate and Elena are probably my favorite duo of any of them, but Nadine and Chloe rivaled them very well as a duo, and I didn't feel myself missing any of that. It was like, no, these two are great. I like their dynamic. It's different. It's fun. It's very enjoyable. Yeah, these games can certainly go on. I hope that Naughty Dog does keep Uncharted alive as a franchise. I don't know what their plans are. I kind of feel like with The Last of Us 2, once that comes out, The Last of Us will probably be done, which I'm fine with, and really, really psyched for Last of Us 2 also. But if that one went away, if you kept Uncharted as your like main franchise, but then you have a new IP come up after that, I'm pretty into that. I think that would work, and doesn't leave you with just 2 new IPs kind of wondering what will happen. So, I don't know. I don't know if Naughty Dog will do those things, but it makes sense to me. Hit up some more Uncharted. Next up, we've got Daniel on Twitter, who said, my third favorite, Uncharted, got to like Laura Bailey's character a bit more as it went on. The last couple hours were great. Okay, so I'm guessing Daniel probably has a similar ordering to I do for my Uncharted, with Lost Legacy hitting third place, but being pretty good. And I agree, the last couple hours were especially good. If I had one complaint, which isn't even that big of one, is that I thought that the end was really good, and I liked the beginning a bit, but some of the middle felt a little repetitive, but I mean, I don't know, that's how games can be at points or whatever. It was pretty minor. And the game was pretty short, so that middle part still didn't feel that long. It might have been like 30 or 40 minutes. I don't know. So, yeah. Last couple hours, though, were especially great. I really liked that. And then lastly, Dog on Twitter said, it was good, but it was too short. And yeah, I think so. It was a shorter game. And, I don't know. I would have liked more, but I'm also happy that the story was contained and wrapped up. So, I don't know. I could see either. But, yeah. So I guess, yeah, that's Uncharted Lost Legacy. Thanks again for writing in. And if you would like to support the podcast, there's a couple ways you could do that. One is to write a review for us on iTunes or Podchaser or wherever you get your podcast. This would be huge in just increasing visibility for the podcast so other people like you and us can enjoy games together. We'd super appreciate that if you'd want to do that. Also, we do read the reviews on the show, if that matters to you. We do like reading those and enjoying those together. So that's one thing. Podcast. You can do that by going to patreon.com/TheGreatestStoryEverPlayed. And you can donate as little as $1 per month. And it really makes a difference for us in being able to pay for like hosting, to have the podcast up and the website and that sort of stuff. So if you'd like to do that, that would be really cool. And as a thank you, we do an exclusive Patreon episode each month. So in the past, we've done episodes on our most recent one was on our favorite Pokemon. We also did one on our favorite games from childhood. So they kind of range in topical stuff like that. They're fun to do. So if you would, if you decide to check Patreon out, that would be something that would come with it. So there's that. Also, our website, TheGreatestStoryEverPlayed.com. All our episodes are there. Also, I have a couple blog posts that do link to things like other podcasts we've been on or, I don't know, other things like that. So if you'd like to check those out, that would be cool. Lastly, you can talk to us on Twitter at StoryEverPod. I try to be pretty active on there, posting questions and different stuff like that. So if you'd like to check that out, please do so. And yeah, I guess that wraps our episode up. So we will see you next time, and thanks.